Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Weekly Games Chat. I'm your host, Chris. As always, joined by my co-host, Sean.
Hi. How's everyone doing? It's great.
And John.
I'm not a co-host. I'm a host.
It's kind of like a quality thing. We're all co-hosts. So simmer down, John.
So, guys, I have a question. What's the first thing you think of as soon as you cut your nails?
Hockey, because I am the biggest hockey fan.
That's so funny. Cause see, that's funny.
I believe you. I just don't get it. And that's fine.
Because we've had some listeners.
It doesn't mean the joke's bad. I could be
We've
dumb.
had listeners who question his loyalty and his actual
I see. I get
to hockey, because apparently he's the greatest hockey fan in the world, right?
So
of course I am.
It was a throwback, and it had nothing to do with cutting the nails
At all.
Yes. I just need an excuse.
It is actually funny.
It is funny.
But what I think about is, crap, for the next week, I'm not going to be able to pick my nose with quality.
I don't cut my nails. I usually end up biting them or pulling them off right after like the shower.
That's really bad hygiene.
They're cut.
It causes herpes of the fingernails.
For the record.
But what I think of is there anything under that nail I shouldn't be putting in my mouth? Or
just look at it this way. You're making the immune system stronger.
yeah, tightening everything on up.
Yes,
John.
you're tightening it up. If it's got syphilis, then, well...
I'll battle through it and see what happens on the other side, John.
Penny is the first dog I've ever owned that she chews her own nails.
Does she?
Yeah, like I can't cut them, and that's why they're razor sharp. Because when she was a puppy, I would go to cut her nails, and she hated it so much.
So now she just
started chewing them all.
We had to take my wife to the emergency room. We had to take her to the emergency room.
Don't worry about it.
Sorry.
We had to take her to the emergency.
She's literally doing it.
Sorry. I had to repeat the sentence 10 times.
That's what makes it beautiful, John.
So you had to go to the emergency room?
It's deflated.
It's not.
It's
John,
really okay.
John,
Just like
you put it back up.
Yeah.
You hear me? You put your mouth on it, make it big again, and it's undeflated. Talking about balloons.
Again, you brought him here.
Balloons.
You should know better.
Deflation. Balloons. What are you talking about?
Anyway, Penny
There's no Richards.
practically ripped my wife's guts out.
Your wife.
Did
when
she?
she got to when Penny first got to the house, because she'll jump up and just my wife's sensitive.
Your wife.
I got that time. Finally warmed up.
So just completely ripped her insides out.
It's cool. Well, I've been all into the World Cup, hence the Olay thing. For you two guys, the World Cup is the biggest event in the world.
Is America in it?
Hashtag socialism.
Turns out they're so not in it that people on Volkswagen commercials are asking them to root for their team. You haven't seen that series of commercials? They're pretty funny.
If America is not in it, it's not real. It's not important. God bless the USA.
Well, you can send all your hate mail to Chris at Weekly Games Chat.
We are in the NHL finals, are we not?
You had a bunch of, I believe they were Russians.
I believe
on the team,
America
right?
was in there, though. It was America's team.
Vegas?
So the biggest news of the week by far has had to have been what's going on with IHOB.
Oh, IHOB. No, the biggest news is that the coach quit for the Capitals.
Yeah,
I'm really keeping this up.
We're going to keep that going. It's a recurring joke on
the
Chris.
The sad part is it's like literally directed towards 3 people.
His head coach, turns out, quit 1 week after winning the cup. So that's been the biggest news story in Chris's life.
Yeah.
The whole IHOP thing's confused me because it's now IHOB, but locally here we're having commercials run that's showing IHOP and all the different things you can get.
Oh yeah.
Very, very rarely mentioning.
I just thought it was a
short
troll
stacks.
at some point.
No.
I mean, someone goes, "Oh, we need to be fresh."
What was what was Wendy's tweet? Did you read about the Wendy's tweet?
No.
It said it's something to the effect of, so IHOP is moving to burgers because pancakes are hard.
Pretty much. Did you see mine that I posted up there? With Spider-Man and
I do want to congratulate you and thank you for following Weekly Games Chat finally.
I felt it was about time.
Speaking of Twitter,
I actually logged into my real Twitter and I was like, "Oh yeah,
I know these guys.
Congrats, guys." No, I posted one. It It was Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, but over Doctor Strange. But it had the IHOP on there, and he's like, he's like, "Hey, my name's Spider-Man." He goes, "Oh, I'm IHOB." He goes, "Oh, we're using our fake names."
That's really funny.
But anyway,
that's funny-ish.
I just want to say,
oh yeah, the World Cup is going on.
That no one cares about the World Cup. Literally, South America and Europe, definitely.
This is not a true statement.
You know, it's funny because it felt, and this is completely anecdotal, it felt over the past few years that there was an increase in interest in the World Cup among people I know.
Yeah.
People would go into the conference room, turn the TV on, check it, and watch the game on their breaks. Things like that happening that you just sort of, you're around your friends and everybody's talking about it. It's in
for sure with South Africa.
It's not in conversation anymore. It's almost like it reached a pinnacle and it's kind of drawing back.
Because they're not in it.
Yeah. Locally, the break rooms aren't going to have the U.S. game on there because there is no U.S. game to have on there.
Exactly.
Now they're going.
Well, they weren't even rooting for U.S. I mean, it was
just in
nobody.
general.
Nobody roots for the U.S. I mean,
I root for America.
Right, and right now we have probably the
soccer.
We have probably
always.
We have the best as far as world talent on soccer superstars in the world, and a lot of them are in the World Cup. So I do know of several people in my workplace who we're talking all day about this is happening, this is happening. For some reason, you're right. It's not like it doesn't feel like it did when the U.S. is in it. I know you said that wasn't necessarily what was.
Maybe it was. I just, I don't pay attention.
You don't really know sports anyway, so I'm just
you don't care about things.
That's not. To
be fair,
I'm not offended. How can I be?
To be fair, when I go to ESPN every day, it's the first thing on the page right now. Either that or LeBron. Those are the two things that are pretty much always.
Do we know where he's going yet? Do you have any?
I mean, free agency hasn't started.
But do you have any gut feeling?
Everyone, I think, wants LA just because it would be the biggest thing to happen for the sport. Like, imagine if you have an LA super team going against a super team for Golden State. I mean, about the only thing that would be better would be if they could have if him, Paul George, and Kawhi somehow ended up at the Lakers, and you went 7 games with them in Golden State in the Western Final.
Houston.
I mean, so that's
you went through all that,
yeah.
and then you got to have the LA Lakers rebirth against Boston.
Exactly. And that would be the biggest thing that happened.
You know
in
that
sports.
back in the day, John, that was like a big rivalry in basketball. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson.
Shoot. I mean, Kobe versus the Big Three a couple of years ago.
The Big Three being Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and the other guy, Paul Pierce.
the guy who's like probably the most
the
Hall
Boston
of Famer.
legend. Yeah. Exactly. But so that's
it's
dominating
early.
Sports.
I don't think he's going there.
LeBron can opt out of this final year, and it's taking. If you watch sports, that's all they talk about. It's LeBron James. Where's he going?
I don't think he's going there.
I don't know if he's going anywhere, but we'll see.
I think he.
We'll see, man.
When I cared about sports, Lakers was my team.
Yeah. Well, you like the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. You actually own a Dodgers hat that you rock.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite Laker
of all time?
Yes,
Jerry West.
Ooh,
the logo.
That's the one.
That's the guy.
I was always a Captain Skyhawk man, but
Magic is a very close second because that's more my childhood was when Magic played.
How old are you?
Captain Skyhawk and Wilt would probably be my two.
I don't remember. When did he have to retire? Was it 90?
Ish. Oh, 92.
92.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just went with the ish. Didn't want to act like I knew it all, Chris. Just saying.
I'm just saying. I remember it.
Don't head bob me.
But then Larry Bird moved on to Michael Jordan as sort of a rivalry for a few years. They used to do those McDonald's commercials where off the backboard, around Pluto, blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
Throughout the mid-'80s, he beat the crap out of Jordan. Back when they were building the Bulls.
Yeah, that's because Jordan would score 40 points a game and lose every game.
Yeah.
See, I know some stuff.
Yeah. I just want to let you go right now.
He scored 60 points.
Take the collar off the dog and let it run.
I was watching the Bulls when they were a dynasty.
Doubles. Speaking of Bulls.
Speaking of dynasties returning. Wait, what? Incredibles 2 came out.
Oh, I actually saw that this weekend.
Did you?
I did.
I was not lying or trying to troll anyone. That's my favorite superhero movie that came out this year.
That's pretty
awesome.
And
I love, and John will attest this, I love Black Panther.
Don't attest so he can finally stop saying that.
But I'll also attest that he loves the first Incredibles.
I love the first Incredibles.
Pixar is his thing. I mean, that's kind of his. One of his happy
Yeah.
places.
It is a happy place, but like there are ones I definitely favor more than others.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time is a Pixar movie.
Ooh, which one?
Up.
Ooh, that's a good
That
one.
is a great movie.
It was an amazing movie.
That is a great movie.
Did it make you cry?
Within 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I guess I always loved Incredibles though, because back in the day, and people seem to
14
forget
years
this, it's
ago.
like Incredibles came out before the whole entire MCU thing started. And it kind of was the first time that we saw like a superhero team up movie
Can't believe that was 2004.
that I felt like did it
I don't like
right.
that you said 2004.
That bothered me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first time like that took the superhero thing like team up and did it right.
Yeah.
Like X-Men had kind of done it, but really
Dude, don't dismiss what X-Men 1 did. Like when it came out.
I mean, but that felt like, and then you go and you watch Incredibles and you're like,
no, I don't think it felt like, X-Men was legit.
let's put it this way, compared to the comics and to even the TV show from back in the day, the X-Men movies, I think they're fine. I really like X2. You know that, John.
The X-Men
But-
TV show.
Yeah, I love those things. And I mean,
But I understand what you're saying about Incredibles, dude. It was awesome.
and then even then, what's impressive was that they did the whole entire setup for basically what came to be Civil War and Marvel before they did it. You know, they did the whole entire, hey, we're going to regulate heroes and we're going to outlaw it. Like they were ahead of everything on a lot of things. And the funny
In
part
one
was,
movie.
and like also,
They did everything.
Well, Fantastic Four came out, and it's like, it's so funny because you go back and look at Incredibles, and Incredibles curves a lot out of the original Fantastic Four. And it's like, how is it that they are able to do what you should be able by natural, inclination be able to do with this?
Look, that's
team?
great, but the most important thing is the Creed 2 trailer is supposed to drop this week.
Meh. No, I'm half for it.
the day the listeners get this podcast, they should be able to right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, the poster came out today.
The poster came out today. Stallone tweeted that the trailer would drop today, but apparently he was not correct.
Today being Tuesday.
Today being Tuesday.
June
And
something.
then-
He's
and
not
then
the
they-
brightest guy.
Actually,
he
he is very bright.
I saw.
They did a, you know those 100 questions for actors, like they did it for Daisy Ridley and they did it for Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
One of the questions was to Michael. They said, "What can you tell us about Sly?" He goes, "He seems to know everything. He can look at a table and tell you what kind of wood, where it was manufactured, and where that wood comes from."
Calling
So
BS.
can Nick Offerman.
It's like he seems.
I'm
to
calling
know,
BS.
No, Michael B.
Is
Jordan was
a
like,
piece of
he
wood.
seems to know something about everything, which is true. I mean, he has a track record for being. He's actually quite intelligent.
Well, I'm glad all these things
I know
started
you work for Mensa.
that we just talked about because I've actually been very sad that E3's over.
Oh man, it's a lull.
It kind of hurt.
It always hurts.
One of my things, I always watch the the sign offs of each like streaming, like whether it be Nintendo or GameSpot or whoever. They all kind of get on the stage and they're like, "Bye,
Yeah.
see you next year."
Goodbye, buddy.
And you're like,
But some
That's
cool
it.
things happen. I mean, you've got Unravel dropped during E3, Splatoon Octo expansion dropped during E3, and
oh, and you got the fun of Fortnite being on, the Switch and Sony being so cool about the crossplay aspect of it.
that'll be.
I'm not a huge fan of the dropping a game during E3. Like, I'm
It's-
fine with the expansion. That makes sense.
That
but
was
like,
cool how they did that.
It's like you dropped Unravel 2, and then like, especially because EA goes first, it just kind of was out there and no one's paying attention to it, right? Because one, the media, they're all off at E3 covering E3, so no one has time to really get a
Play it,
review
review
up.
it, yeah.
But we
That's
will,
probably why
Yeah, that's,
will, Chris.
that's why I would
they
worry
wanted
about it.
they wanted a week's worth of sales before people got their hands on it because it was tracking like it was like, oh wow, this is like 81, 82, but it's slowly starting to
Yeah,
drop.
it's dipping down as more
no.
elite, I guess, harder graders.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but a lot of people were not
Harder
necessarily-
graders.
Yeah, I
know, right?
I heard it. A lot of people weren't
Cheese
necessarily
graders.
high on the first one. But
I was.
No.
yeah, I mean, and
It was a cool
I
concept.
can relate to that,
Yeah.
as we'll probably discuss in a little while. So
I can relate. Bum 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 bum. That's not the right words.
Petey just attacked him.
Yeah, Chris.
Petey just lunged at him.
Well, this would probably be a good time to say,
You love
yeah,
me?
let's do this
Okay.
because Chris needs to take care of some things.
Oh,
He's see how he's getting ready to do it.
I've got to get to level 50.
You can do it.
What level are you on?
2.
Topic time.
The topic is Vampyr. Vampire?
The vampire.
Vampire. Vampyr.
Penny's topic is Amy's
And
face.
ladies and gentlemen, you will have the luxury of hearing what the one and only Jonathan Barron has to say about it.
You want to go get a beer?
Yeah, let's run to the store, get maybe some chicken wings.
All right. John, we'll be back in 30. Can you get it done by then?
Ladies and gentlemen.
He's like 30.
Ladies and gentlemen, finally, it's just you and me. Sit back,
Snooze
relax,
fest.
And everyone
and
just
listen
deleted.
to the soft, sweet nothings of
I
my
told you
voice.
we should have put emails and news first.
Emails and news. We're kidding.
Are we going to listen
That's
to
fine,
the?
man.
I know you are.
what you're doing.
You got the thick skin on right now. You're good.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
you do. You look good.
Life's
We're going to
good.
listen to the music of the night.
That I'll tell you this. That's funny. That crease
Still going strong.
still going like it's day one.
200 washes later.
Anyways,
I looked at these shirts last week. I'm like, it's time to get new shirts.
No, it's not.
I've got dirt rings around my neck.
Oh, you should
sweat
probably-
rings or whatever.
so this was a
We're not-
game that was on Kickstarter.
We're
right?
not ready.
I don't
Was it
really.
Kickstarter?
I don't know.
I thought it
don't know.
was.
Maybe.
No one cares. Really, I don't think. That's not a slight at you, Chris. I don't think anybody cares that a game from Kickstarter made it to John's hands. Do they? I know that it's Google fact check time now that we've said that.
I'm nobody fact checking nobody. I'm just curious.
Nobody, hey, don't you fact check me like that, bruh.
Kickstarter. How do you spell Kickstarter?
Kick
Vampire.
with a Y, John, with a Y.
Vampire.
Yeah, that's how we do it with a Y. Chris has a blanket for Penny. Things are going to change over there in a minute.
No, nothing's coming up.
Yeah.
Well, same thing.
It wasn't, hey, it was
Maybe
not,
I was thinking
Hold on.
Bloodstain.
Maybe this is it. Hold on.
just for the record, Chris, it was not an official Google fact check.
There's an article called "Why I'm So Disappointed by Vampire."
That's funny.
Did you write? No, I'm kidding.
Actually, that's from last year.
I apologize to you two if I burp and you smell beef lo mein. Because I definitely had some beef lo mein today.
That's funny.
It was delicious.
Were you at the house today?
I was. I stayed at the house all day.
Every day.
Good deal.
Sent the old madre to go get the beef lo mein.
And mock it that beef away.
Well,
Hey.
Chris, to answer your question, nothing immediately popped up for Kickstarters involving Vampire. You could be right. I'm
Maybe
not
I'm
sure.
thinking of that Bloodstain, or was the other one? You know,
Bloodstained.
yeah, maybe that's the one. I'm
That's
thinking of.
definitely Kickstarter.
Okay. Well, there
But
you go.
yeah, this one, it has not been revealed to me in this game why it is called Vampire with the spelling of the Y.
Trademark?
Don't know if they will. I don't know if it's a derivation on how they pronounced it or spelled it back in the day. So I'm not sure. But I was looking. That is a great.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Great.
What he
graphic,
just
by the
showed
way.
us was our graphic for this week. You guys should enjoy it and really see the why that we speak of.
So I've had the pleasure of playing this game. I was really looking forward to it. I'd mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast over the past year. It just had that all the elements of story and history, goth,
All of John's check marks,
vampires.
really.
It hit a lot of my check marks for sure.
The majority.
Don't Nod is a developer that most of us are familiar
I was like,
with.
I'm sorry. I like nodding.
I love Life is Strange.
Life is Strange. You're known for
Though,
Life is Strange.
I don't think this is the Life is Strange team that did
Fair
this
enough.
game.
That's
Yeah.
probably true.
Because they did that Captain
Captain-
Underpants or whatever it's
Well,
called.
no, it's- but
Whatever
yeah.
the superhero thing is.
Yeah. And I didn't realize this at the time. They developed Remember Me. I don't know if you recall that one.
I remember that.
For previous generation. Never got my hands on it, but it looked pretty good. I think it got mixed reviews, but that's okay.
Kind of like this
So-
one.
Yeah, for sure. And as I talk about it, I can completely understand why. So it's basically an RPG third person action game. But it's a real strange hybrid of a lot of things. One of the heavy features in this game is story, which I'll get into in a little while. But the setting for it is basically World War I England, taking place in London. For the most part, from what I gather, it takes place in sort of more of the seedy areas of London, like Whitechapel, East End, the East End docks, things like that. So there's definitely a flavor of a post-Victorian era England that is wrapping up the tumultuous era of World War II.
We're just going to have this kind of stuff going when we talk. Just so
right now you're watching pretty much kind of the opening cutscene. Yeah,
they're like, what?
Just to get this is just for us. This is just kind of get.
I'm just kind of walking y'all through it.
We have video on the screen of the game.
Is it? Do you remember the Order 1886?
Very good. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there that, and for that very reason, one of the things that drew me to the Order was that atmosphere. And in fact, it's a, and I'll dive into this a little bit more.
Head first.
Yeah. All up in the paint or whatever.
Hard in the paint. All up in the paint.
I guess I get why it's like a goth thing, but it is kind of weird that's a goth thing in World War One.
Yeah. I mean, you see his hairstyle. I mean, people are wearing that hairstyle now.
I think the goth thing always relates to World War One era ish.
No, I've always
Victorian era.
Yeah, to me,
but it kind of spans all together.
And it's because people were just dumb. They didn't know better.
I mean, this is
that was for pure reaction. Chris.
This is still in the era of the Industrial Revolution, where trade unions are starting to emerge and become more powerful in London, things like that. So, one of the key backdrops to this game is the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918.
Real thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's another draw for me. When you tap into real historical settings, but you put a fictional twist on it, that's where you have me hook, line, and sinker. So the character you play as is Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Oh,
he is a surgeon that just got back from the front lines of World War I, where he became prevalent in the field of medicine for his work on blood transfusions. You wake up in the beginning of the game, and this is pretty much be as much as I'll spoil. You wake up in the beginning of the game surrounded by bodies. Basically, you're kind of in that bodies being brought back from World War II. You wake up as a newly born vampire. You have no idea why you're a vampire. You don't know how you got there. You have very little memory of who created you, what happened to you, and why.
But I'm guessing it's safe to presume that they thought you was dead.
Basically, yeah. Well, the very few moments, and you saw a glimpse of it on screen, the very first few moments, tragedy immediately happens.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, that's not really spoiler territory for me then, because you're going to see it if you play the game.
Yeah.
It looks really. I mean, it looks good as far as the aesthetics of the game.
Yeah,
they say bad words.
The aesthetics are Dr. Reed graphically looks good. The only knock on the graphics I would give it is occasionally you would find an NPC in the game that's just not very well designed, or but you can kind of at the same time know that blends a little bit with the art style they were going for. So the art style they're going for isn't necessarily going to make something look gorgeous and beautiful. But as far as the world is concerned, the fog everywhere, the lighting, dark avenues, cobblestone streets, things like that.
There's a guy running down an alley right now holding, it looks like a fire stick.
Yeah, he's got it's basically a fire crossbow.
And it looks so cool. I mean, like, that's what I mean. That stuff looks tremendously.
Oh yeah, what it does with atmosphere is incredible. Now, there have been complaints about criticism on the graphics of the game. I am playing it on the Xbox One X, so it's probably, aside from PC.
You didn't say
got a One
that
X?
What did I say?
You said the Xbox One X. It's Xbox One X Scorpio.
You have an Xbox
5
One
million
X,
teraflops.
I do. I did.
When did you get?
World
it's
premiere
been a while.
exclusive.
But basically, as Dr. Reed, your mission, as I've discovered or as I've determined, is you find yourself simultaneously searching for what happened to you, and also simultaneously trying to find a solution to what appears to be the Spanish flu.
See, that's the part I've heard is the best part of the game.
Oh, yeah, and we'll touch on that immediately. As
We
far
will.
as the mechanics go.
See, that was a joke.
Chris would immediately look at this story and go, the first time we really saw this type of stuff, at least that I did, was for the Mass Effect series.
Sure.
Where you have these dialogue trees, you're talking to somebody in the world, and you basically decide what you're going to reply to this character in the world.
First time we actually saw these was in KOTOR. That came out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hey, Chris, remember that time about knowing it all?
Which it's
My name is Clarissa.
I mean, it's
See?
I mean,
Dim's fighting words.
That's
John.
BioWare, right? Still?
Yeah. Still
okay.
BioWare.
So the core gameplay, and this might turn some people off. I was surprised at how much I dug it, because my history of dialogue trees, things like that. The core mechanic of the world is interacting with these people, and how they're interconnected. They know each other. They have certain social circles where you talk to these. You'll go up to someone, you'll talk to them, you'll see this wheel where you see obvious responses or things you can say to them, but in other selections you'll see the word hint, meaning that in this particular thing, and I don't know if this is unique, it felt unique to me. It was a newer experience for me. Basically, in order to unlock these hints, you have to talk to other people in the world who happen to know this person, that reveal secrets that they might not want you to know, that they're not immediately divulging.
Yeah.
Or there's moments where you can find this person, follow him somewhere where he reveals, where a secret gets revealed that he doesn't know that you know now. One of the mechanics in this world, since the city is plagued with the Spanish flu epidemic, you discover people with flu-like symptoms, and it could be a range of things. There's people, and you have a vampire sense mechanic, where
Gotcha.
you can view somebody and you can determine through your senses what exactly is ailing somebody. Some people are perfectly healthy, but a lot of people have headaches, migraines, pneumonia, bronchitis. They're anemic. And so there's recipes in the world where you can concoct and create remedies for these people. Mm-hmm. And so each location, for example, if you divide it up into in the Whitechapel, or the Pembroke Hospital, or the docks, they're all basically a community. Whitechapel is its own community with its own citizens. And you go into the menu and you see kind of the health status of Whitechapel.
I see it right here.
So yeah, you can improve the health status of the community by helping solve their problems, by helping them with what ails them, by revealing new hints, by completing missions for these people. The status of their health increases over time, or depending on decisions that you make, those decisions, the status can go down. I think it's a range between critical and sanitize, meaning that you've kind of rid the area of the map from the Spanish flu.
Gotcha.
In a sense. So it creates a very wide range, a lot of variety in how you approach all the characters in the game. You get to know them, you solve their problems, they reveal secrets to you, they reveal things you didn't know about yourself. These range from humans to fellow vampires. So
I'm with you.
You can definitely interact on that scale.
Yeah, like listening to other people who have played this game, like that's the part where when I heard them talking about, like, this interests me. I like, how I like doing these kinds of things. And that's one of the reasons I love The Witcher so much was it was like, hey, here's this quest and you have literally about 5 or 6 different ways you can go through to solve it. None of them are particularly right, but you may miss things or gain things by doing it a certain way.
Well, the interesting thing is all this stuff is kind of a crapshoot. You kind of just go. There's two ways to approach how you play this game. Mm-hmm. When you solve somebody's problems, when you heal them from their ailments, their blood quality improves.
Yeah.
Now you can go through this game and never drink any innocent civilians' blood. And you can go through the mission like that. You could still gain XP by defeating enemies, doing quests, all that stuff, and you can build your skill tree. But if you want to really maximize your skill tree, what it forces you to do is build up people's health so that their blood increases and improves. Kill them, and you get, in some cases, 6,000 XP for killing somebody. But the problem with that is it's kind of it's a trade off. It's you have to choose how you want to play. Do you want to get BA, and you have to kill a bunch of people? But if you want to maintain that level of I don't want to kill, I want to maintain my integrity, the game is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, see, that's what I had heard, like, the people who I'd listened to prior to this talking, like, they felt like, there's always games that have these kinds of things. Like, Prey had that mechanic to it.
Yeah.
Of course, Dishonored is a great example and things like that. The criticism I've heard about this is that because of the way combat is in this game, which a lot of people seem to say is the low point, it's kind of almost a necessity that they felt like if you really want to get through this thing without lowering in difficulty or anything, you're probably are going to have to be the most patient person and just really learn how this mechanic, everything works and get great at it, or else you're probably going to have to kill people. It's just, it's like a fact, because it's like you're not going to be able to upgrade and get the things you need to take on the tougher enemies as you go later and later in this game.
I think that's, and I haven't finished it. I'm past the halfway point. I've played for about a little over 20 hours.
Have you killed anyone?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I have. So they may be right to a point, but it depends on how you want to play.
Sure.
You can get XP to the point of being competitive in the game if you just go on quests and you do things for people. Now, if you want to just barrel through the game without really dealing with the community, it's going to be very difficult for you to combat the bosses and defeat enemies and things like that, which brings me to kind of the upgrade system in the game as far as the combat.
Gotcha.
I agree with the criticism. The combat,
very well done.
Is
transition. I mean, into
it's kind of like that close over the shoulder third person.
I was going to say, Chris,
the segue.
Yeah, the segue was great because Chris, you brought up that people were complaining about the combat, and then speaking with John, I kind of just wanted to get an idea of where he was with the game. He said, "Well,
the combat,
I'll tell you about the combat. It's kind of iffy, and we'll go from there."
It's definitely a mixed bag for me.
And that's historically the folks who have done these games, as you said, like Remember Me. That's kind of like their MO, is that they have really cool ideas, but things like the combat and stuff like that isn't necessarily fleshed out as great as it could be as, say, like something like where, take like, I don't know, God of War, where that had really cool ideas in it, but you could tell Cory Balrog was like, no, we're going to make everything work in this.
Yeah. The character of Dr. Reed, I mean, it's kind of a shame because I guess the combat, it's functional. It gets the job done, but it's not something highly stylized in many cases.
Well, dude, even watching it right here, like we said, it looks like you said it technically gets the job done, but it doesn't look like it'd be fun at all.
I wouldn't describe it as not fun.
Right.
You can get yourself up to a point where you're skilled and you can take down enemies relatively easily. But what this guy on the screen is not doing is, and a lot of people might miss it in the game, there is a lock-on mechanic to where you can keep the enemy in front of you at all times.
All of them or just one?
Just one.
That's old Zelda John coming out right there.
Yeah.
So when you're fighting a group,
Yeah.
it can be a challenge, and it's obvious, and in many cases, it's best to just leave the locking mechanism off. So the challenge is keeping the camera in front of you, being able to consistently see your enemy, because you could be dodging the enemy, getting out of the way, and you end up where the enemy is off the screen and he could be coming at you, and you never know he's there.
When you have that like tight over the shoulder game, like that to me is what separates like good versus great. Like, again, going back to things recently, God of War has a very tight camera angle. For good reason, but like you never feel like between the audio cues of Atreus and then also the actual like notifications you get on screen, you feel like as if you're paying attention, that even though there might be someone who's about to hit you behind you, you're aware to it and you can parry to it and defend it. And maybe that's what's going on with this one.
The saving grace to this combat is the variety of things you can do with your weapons. Because if you look at the gauges on the top, you see 3 gauges. The green obviously is the life meter. The yellow is the stamina gauge.
Okay.
And the one below it is
like magic.
Is your blood meter.
Yeah, it's a magic.
And your blood meter is kind of your key to your special powers. You can get powers through your skill tree that allow you to heal yourself with your own blood. It uses your special more aggressive attacks. Each of these gauges you can increase over time, so they get longer across the screen. Your stamina is what helps you evade attacks. So you can, if you're not paying attention, you can evade so much that you wear yourself out and you're kind of stuck in limbo and you're just open yourself up to attack. So there's a lot of strategy, a lot of skill. I would say that the combat, you can get to a point where you can master the combat, where you can relatively be able to, the combat is not broken. It's functional. Don't Nod needs to really work on really getting a good combat system in their games.
Well, I mean, the thing that they're most known for now,
storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, there's combat but it's interactive combat, right? Yeah.
But this is full on combat.
Well, I'm thinking
this is full fledged.
From what I've seen, from what you've said, right? Yeah. If you combine that awesome story with like some legit combat to go with it, I mean, does it? I don't know what your Richard score is going to be. Yeah. But does it add another point to it? Does it add another 2?
Oh, at least.
Does it set it? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that if you have combat in the game, you do want a tight combat system.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you decide to have that in the game. So
yeah. And the crafting system in this game is pretty good. You discover weapons throughout the world that could be one-handed axes or swords, two-handed clubs. You also have a secondary weapon which could be shotguns, pistols, guns, weapons that you can use to like stakes that can help disable. And one thing about an enemy is each enemy has a stamina gauge as well. So if you get the enemy stamina down, you can drink their blood, and that builds up your blood gauge. That helps you get through combat.
Now,
I would say if you're going without killing anybody, you have got to build up your blood gauge, your life gauge, and your stamina gauge. Okay. That helps you survive in this world.
Now, Sean,
that's the way I'm playing.
I know you probably just got confused when you said clubs. That was not about football or World Cup.
But what about in my club? You splash the pot however you please.
Look, FIFA is not coming out on stage with the stupid Germany Cup, okay?
So I'll wrap it up in a little bit.
Never.
The pros, as far as the pros for this game.
Oh,
okay.
Most of the characters in this game are pretty interesting on a consistent level. They have their own stories, their own lives, and they're really fleshed out really well. And if there's one thing about character, I can say if when you really focus on that on supporting characters' character development, it really helps to make this world alive. And that's kind of the key to this, as far as its atmosphere, the authenticity of the world, built in with these characters, you're really making seedy, dark London a really amazing place to explore.
I kind of want to go to seedy, dark London, dude.
Yeah.
There's a game called Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Terrible game.
The music is also kind of an added bonus. It's most of it is all classic strings, but really heavy violin and viola, where you're taking that catgut,
good old viola,
and you're really stroking it
viola.
across the violin, across the
Fun
instrument.
fact: John used to tour in Europe with the viola group.
John Viola Baron.
And I have to say, as far as the lore and the story,
yeah,
this is on par with the world of vampires that Anne Rice built.
Whoa.
This is a really unique approach.
So Queen of the Damned
to vampire lore. I mean, it's really. I mean, I'm playing this game, going, I'd read this book.
Yeah.
I would read this.
And you're
book.
a book reader.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool twist to it too. Just the idea of like a doctor during an epidemic that needs to feed to survive.
Exactly. I mean, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea.
It's a brilliant idea. The cons, I touched on.
I mean, it's a lot better than the idea of, I don't know, vampires in the South that,
glow
sound like
or
they're
sparkle.
Yeah, no, not those ones.
Oh.
That drink blood.
Calm down, dude.
And then apparently sell True Blood.
Oh, that one.
And sound like they're debutantes.
Yeah, but she was hot.
She really was.
I never watched that one.
Oh, everybody was. And the ones that sparkled were pretty.
So
Pretty.
So those are, the graphics, it's a dark game without a lot of color, but this game to me, because it captures that essence so well, graphically and everything, the game's beautiful.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think it is too.
It doesn't. It's not the type of game where it's going to pop like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because there's so much color and so much texture. But this does what it needs to do, and sometimes I stop and I just look around. It's just so
the setting, like from the video we saw, I would say the setting looks really nice. Character animation as far as face and all that, it's fine. It's about
it's fine.
It's about on par, maybe a little bit less than what I saw in Life is Strange.
He's liar.
I mean,
better.
It's
looks
like
like
it's not. I don't want anyone to get like the wrong idea. Like this isn't like, for instance, as I would say, like this isn't like The Witcher to me as far as what I saw in quality. Or shoot, even like watching a cutscene of like Drake, or shoot Kratos here recently. It's fine. It does what it needs to do, but it's like, I'm like, that might be where you see the budget.
Yeah, that's
to me,
fair.
as
fair.
I'm looking at.
You're wrong, but that's fair though.
You're wrong, but it's fair.
So a couple of cons.
Here we go. The old nitpicks. Huh,
obviously, I touched on the mechanics.
Yeah, you did.
As far as the combat. The combat, I mean, had they just spent some time on this combat.
The combat team's listening right now, and they're like, dude.
Yeah, they're listening.
If you
to
knew.
I didn't eat for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So since we already covered that.
Why don't you make combat?
You think you can combat better?
Did you ever play Mortal Kombat?
The game is an open world, but it can be kind of restrictive. It's opened up a lot more since I've...
Is it Metroidvania?
Not really.
Not
really. It's opened up a lot more since I immediately made the observation. So that's kind of changing a little bit.
Do you have a lot of backtracking so far?
I wouldn't say backtracking implies hassle.
Well, no.
I wouldn't say,
when I say backtracking, I mean, like, is there encouragement to re-explore areas you've previously been?
You articulated that way better the second time.
Yeah, I've spent more.
Backtrack.
I've probably spent more time in Whitechapel than any place because I'm still early up. Well,
is your name Jack?
Hey,
right.
per the website Chris pulled up, you're not early.
No.
Well, I was like looking. He said he was 20 hours in, and he's like only halfway through. And I was like, I was looking.
I've spent a lot of time.
I was like, oh, okay. John's going for the completionist because
I'm not
they're saying main story and extras is like 23 hours, and like just going through it is 20, and then like it's a completionist 41 hours.
It always takes me much longer to do that stuff.
Yeah, it does.
He's dumb.
What? Oh,
yeah. So it's not.
He's just lost.
Am I?
Standing there.
The game is obviously an open world, but I mean, and it's a small gripe because the world seems like a big world, but it's really not. I mean, you can get to anywhere you need to go within a few minutes, but at the same time, it would have been nice to have a fast travel system. because there are.
What game did you play recently? You had that same gripe.
I don't remember.
I think God of War.
Probably.
Where you said it didn't open up.
Oh, yeah, because you don't get fast travel until like really late in that game.
At least they give it to you.
You're a fast travel elitist.
He is. He needs to be held. I don't want to walk there.
Every area, like Whitechapel and Pembroke, has like hideouts and places you can go where you upgrade your tools, your weapons, and stuff like that. And they're all on the map, but they never implemented a fast travel system to those locations. Again, it's not a huge world, so it's not that much of a damper, but it would have been definitely a nice to have. Secondly, when you're going back to visit areas and you're trying to find a certain person, your vampire senses, you can activate those and you can scan the world. You see like little red dots in the world that are heartbeats. Okay. And it typically highlights who that person is. But you still got to do a little bit of search. I wish they'd had a feature in the game where you can select, I want to go visit Dr. Sandry, and it would just, and there would just be a GPS system in place to lead you to that person. So you don't have to spend too much time hunting him down.
He needs glowing breadcrumbs.
It doesn't take long it's not a chore. It doesn't take long to find somebody if you're looking for him. It doesn't,
but it's like you're not doing
they circle the same areas. They're in the same areas.
Gotcha. You're saying it's not like where it's a quest and it's like find this person. It's like you're just like, look, I need to find this person. Yeah. You know,
so there's literally there's virtually no GPS system in the game the way we know them today.
I got you.
And then and I mean, so those are my three knocks, to include the combat could use some serious work.
So if you were to
whoa,
put a Richard to it, at this point, I don't know. Do you feel comfortable putting a Richard
there? I mean, that you're coming just.
I could.
At this point, where's your Richard at?
20 hours in. Are you ready to say it? Do you have any more to say about the game?
It's an 8 for me.
Oh, okay.
I know that's a little high for the scores, but
well, what's the aggregate kind of
72 right now?
Yeah,
on Metacritic.
Really, I wonder.
Really, the thing that really hurt it was the combat.
Yeah,
for most people. Most people collectively agree that the story is just an absolute win for the game. The one. There's such a dichotomy.
There it is. We got it.
There's such a dichotomy of how you can play. It's not like Dishonored where you can kill, spare, where you can kind of get a measure of. I think in Dishonored series you have several different endings.
Yeah.
In this one there's no middle ground. You can't. It doesn't really account for the fact that you kill occasionally. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to.
Sorry. That's good job. Don't worry about it.
You kind of have to adopt.
It's only been 158 episodes.
You kind of have to adopt the play style and run with it.
Yeah. And I think
it really, I don't know what it is. I guess I'm by nature a very empathetic person. It's always been difficult for me to behave in the negative when it comes to video games. Same. It's always been difficult for me. Chris has no trouble with it. That's not a knock on anything. He has a lot of fun playing both ways, and he can bounce back and forth.
Does.
Yeah.
This is a niche game. If you don't like history, if you don't like vampires, if you don't like gothic settings, heck, if you don't like England, I mean, there's a lot of. That's really strange.
Yeah.
What'd you expect? This is what she does.
Anyway.
She smells Burgess.
I can't obviously recommend it to everybody because it's not everybody's bag, but I'm surprised. Look, when I went into GameStop to pick it up, it had hit the 73 mark, and the guy said, "Hey, what are you here to pick up?" And I went, "Vampire." I was not enthusiastic. I was really disappointed about how the scores ended up.
Yeah, I'll never be that way. I know you don't mean to be that way.
I'm very happy about this game.
Yeah.
Very happy.
And it's kind of like one of those things, John, where we saw Solo, the Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
We had heard bad things about it. Maybe you go in with lower expectations and we come out of it going, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And you go in with the expectation of this is going to be a 70-ish game.
Yeah.
But you decide to immerse yourself in the story. you kind of let it be what it is, and you're having a great time playing it. So,
I mean, I haven't been able to really. Sometimes you get to that game where you think about it all day long when you're not playing it, and that's been this game to me. This world, I'm just
really
enamored
the world.
with. I'm that's why the combat is so forgivable, because I'm just so plugged into this world.
I guess from a service point, like the one thing that would concern me on this, like when you look at that kind of stuff, is that it's a $60 game, and like I kind of view it, I'm like, okay, you're asking for $60 and your combat is supposed to, and this is supposed to be a 20 to, as we saw, 20 to 40 hour
that
game.
was going to be my counter.
Like,
You're like, where you always say you're paying for the experience. New Gears,
sure.
This for 2 hours or this for 6 hours or whatever we always say. I mean, if for some people, if it does fall in that niche, if you like the Anne Rice type settings, you may feel like you need to give them more money for this game.
No, I don't regret spending $60 on it, but to Chris's point,
yeah.
I can definitely recommend this game to people if it drops in price, because I understand.
Yeah,
I get that.
So if it's a $39.99 mark,
But as far as if it's economically worth $60, yeah, you can definitely justify a $60 price for the content in and of itself. I mean, there's there are games with far worse combat than this. The combat is serviceable, and you can get the job done with it.
Yeah,
it's just not the highlight.
Well, John, as always, tap natch.
Thank
for sure.
Thank you.
You guys, you want to do some news?
I'm down with some news. Yeah, let's do some things.
John was so upset last week because he didn't get the right news.
Why didn't he get the right news?
That was good.
Did he get the right news?
No, because the whole entire episode was news.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, let's go to the news.
Hot off the press and straight to your ears. Weekly Games Chat presents the news.
Why can't I get this every week? Sean, can you cut that light right there behind you?
No. You know why? Because the entire time we've been in a grotto recording this podcast.
Grotto.
Okay.
So right now we're going to stay in the grotto.
I'll walk over there and do it. Don't make me, young man. I'll turn this podcast
That
around.
really helped.
Yeah, it helped
it did.
tremendously. There's a lamp in the corner without a lampshade. But it's got one of those energy saver light bulbs in it, so it should be bright and perfect.
See?
But it's not, because he got the 20-watt one.
That's his contribution to climate change.
That's fine.
Last of Us sales. The Last of Us has now sold over 17 million copies since it was first released back in 2013. Naughty Dog made the announcement via Twitter in celebration of the game's 5th anniversary. The original release was on June 14, 2013 on PlayStation 3. The game was remastered and released on PS4 in 2014. Quote, over 17 million of you have taken this journey with us, and your love, support, and fandom for these characters and their story has been incredible. That does not surprise me at all.
I like it. It's going to ramp up the hype, man.
Yeah.
For the game that does not have a release date that made John so mad, but happy at the same time.
I'm almost certain that I keep getting kicked by my son, but I'm also almost certain that most of the sales.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's funny.
I'm almost
so
certain
funny.
that this game's sales came primarily from the PlayStation 4 version.
Ooh.
No.
Probably both.
17 million. The game had already been out 1 year before it got remastered. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
But, ooh.
Because
I don't know. I remember it sold like what? Like at that point,
hotcakes.
They were
8 million.
Like, yeah. So, okay. That was like from release. I thought it was like 10 million in its first year.
No,
and I mean, like, I remember everyone saying like it was easily the biggest selling, both Naughty Dog game and also PlayStation 3 exclusive at the time.
Yeah, but at
I don't know.
The Naughty Dogs games had been between 3 and 5 million.
I mean, yeah.
Their
So
Uncharted series.
if it did like double, I mean, 10 million is.
Did you hear?
Look,
No offense, but I want to make sure you heard what I said.
yeah.
What I said was the game had only been out for a year on the PlayStation 3 before they remastered it. Therefore,
Sure.
most of their sales were garnered from the PlayStation 4 version. That's all I said.
Yeah, we heard it. That's why we said what we said.
Yeah, I'm saying
challenging the. I don't know.
I
It
mean,
seems like
like,
he heard it differently.
to me, I guess I just kind of view, I'm like, if I had to take a running bet of where most people played this, it was PlayStation 3, just because at that point you
It's
had
hard to
80.
see that.
I don't know, there was 80 million consoles.
Yeah, but it
when
was
game
towards the
came
end
out.
of the life cycle when people were moving on.
And it was the only game before the other one came out.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of
I
people
played
did.
it on PS3, so you know what? Everybody else did too. John.
Everyone this played
Me
it.
too.
I don't know.
You didn't
I'm
play
sure
it.
it's, if anything, it's probably close
You
to a
didn't even
split.
like that game.
I definitely will not discount that there has
What's
probably
happening
been
right now?
6 to 8 million people played it. But
Are you
I
still
don't know.
talking about it?
VR and Microsoft. VR was not terribly prevalent during E3 press conferences this year.
Yeah.
I don't
First
care.
time I was smart.
While Sony is still supporting PSVR, Microsoft apparently has no interest in releasing a competing headset. According to Mike Nichols of Microsoft CMO, our perspective on it has been and continues to be that the PC is probably the best platform for the more immersive VR and MR. As an open platform, it just allows for faster, more rapid iteration. There are plenty of companies investing in the hardware and the content, and some combination there within. That doesn't really surprise me because I think pretty much Phil has gone on record as saying like, hey, we're not going to probably jump into this until you can have a headset that can do console quality, without wires. That seems to be what they're looking for.
I think this is evidence that the virtual reality is dead. I think that's what it is. It's dead. Bigly.
It's not dead.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not dead at all.
It's like only
Bigly.
being
It
there.
is dead. Put in the nail. It's gone.
That's actually pretty good.
And you beat a freaking VR game this week.
The VR game you have at home, poof, it just went away.
Or no,
It's
I'm
not
sorry,
there.
Jeff did.
It's
Jeff
not
did.
in your
You-
living
you
room
played
anymore.
it.
It
I
was
don't know why
thrown
we're
out
trumping this.
Because he's being funny.
Because I'm being obnoxious about it.
He's being obnoxious.
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
it doesn't surprise me.
Out of the ones I'm excited about, of course, there's a Wolfenstein game coming out on PSVR,
Nine!
which makes me happy.
I stepped up for that.
I'm not going to play the, what's Elijah Wood?
Oh,
Company,
yeah.
the
Revenant.
transference thing that's coming
Yeah.
out. Transference.
It did look,
Probably-
I will say, they
probably
look
'cause
cool
you're
for a
chicken.
horror.
I don't play scary games, but that looks good. But the one I'm most excited about is the Astrobot Rescue Mission game. Right?
Not the Beat Saber.
Beat Saber, of course, because that was announced. Tetris, of course, it's got VR support, so I want to play that. But the Astrobot, right? It was in PSVR Worlds, and that Astrobot mini game is top notch.
Of all the stuff I saw last week, which apparently, even though it wasn't prevalent,
There was a lot there.
Yeah.
I think
of
prevalent
course-
means that it wasn't a highlight during the E3 press conference itself.
I don't know if you
There was
remember
2.5
this.
Chris, I was the main one.
I don't know if you
looking.
remember this. There was a
Prevalent.
15-minute period where they decided they had to go from a barn to a tent,
Prevalent.
and they showed like all the other stuff.
You did, and it was
Yeah.
they had a nice little and you got to look at it this way.
Prevalent.
How many PSVR owners
Neutral.
are there? How many all right, so you get that number and you go, these are the people we need to talk to. Plus we need
Yeah.
to factor in, maybe we can get some people in on it, right?
Yeah.
Their main focus was showing those 4 pillar games, and that's all it was. But on the show floor, they had tons. I think it was 14, 15 games that people played on the show floor.
during the week,
and then
what?
they made announcements about PSVR games.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you had like the big ones I saw that they announced, like first off, they showed Trover. I mean, that was a brand new game from
Squanch Games.
Yeah. From
You're
Justin
welcome.
Rollmoy.
I'm on it.
So that I want to play. And then the other big thing I saw they revealed earlier in the week was, the Tetris effect, which just looks cool.
That's going to look dope. Now, Chris or John, who is the Dark Souls studio? Who is that?
From software.
Software.
Exactly.
And they have a VR game.
They announced a new game called Deracine or something like that.
Yeah.
Deracine. All we've seen is like
Deracine.
just images of something no one knows, but we're hype about it. So,
Well, Sean, I think, and this is a prediction.
John, I'm not
you heard-
done.
Okay, I'm sorry.
John, there's a game coming out
Prevalent?
on the PSVR
Is it prevalent?
that says
Prevalent.
Creed Rise to Glory.
I heard about
and
that.
it is a boxing game, John.
I hear people saying that that's actually
Terrible.
quite fun to play.
Yeah, it is because you get the little moves.
Well, they've had boxing games on Oculus and everyone,
they are.
like there are certain sports
Oh, yeah,
games
but
that
what
give
they-
themselves
what
to
they
it.
said was exactly. It's,
Yeah.
it's these types of games are kind of built for VR.
Yeah.
But what I think you should look forward to, Sean, they haven't announced it yet, but I think they will. I think you will be able to experience being Spider-Man in VR. Can you imagine how much throw up would be in your room?
My favorite comment, I went to this particular site, I'm not going to promote it, but people are nice in comments, right?
Yeah. Obviously.
People are talking all hype about the list of things they've seen and everything, yada, yada, yada. This one guy comes in and says, who gives an S about PSVR or any VR? Consoles are for peasants.
That's funny.
Gotta love the PC Master Race.
Sea of Thieves sales expectations, according to Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
While speaking with Giant Bomb, Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 exceeded internal sales expectations at Microsoft, even though both are on Xbox Game Pass. According to Rare producer Joe Neat, we had
It's Niete?
I'll say neat. We had a target to hit by the end of June, which we hit in day one of sales. It seems to challenge the theory that Sea of Thieves and State of Decay are seeing bigger player bases, mainly due to Game Pass. I wouldn't say that. I mean, because
I would 100% agree with that, Chris. I think you're completely wrong.
I would say, to me, I don't think they different. First off, they have not.
Why
said
are we
that
raising our voices?
I don't know.
Why are we getting excited?
One, this is put on here because John's trying to troll something from weeks ago.
But
two,
Chris, you got to realize people are playing it because of Game Pass.
But I would say, to me, I don't think there's any evidence in the statement, as I'm just looking at this, that they're separating between what would be Game 1 day sales versus Game Pass versus $60 sales.
The mere concept
because to them it's all
Game
money.
Pass is to get people to play games and pay them a little fee.
Exactly. But they
and not go buy games anymore.
But the only thing they care about is that you downloaded the game and played it.
You can see episode 140. Yeah. What was it that we talked about that?
Yeah. See it these. But no, that's kind of how I view it. Cause I mean, maybe State of Decay more simply
the visual
simply
right
because,
now
it's a cheaper game and there was already an install base, but I still would say to me, until I see them actually put out the numbers, and I don't think you'll ever get that from Microsoft.
That being said, I mean, I think, I have not understood PlayStation Now and Xbox Game Pass for the longest time, but I gotta say, I've been, in regards to Games Pass, Phil Spencer has proved me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I always thought it was a bad business model, but I'm wrong. I was wrong about that.
I mean,
I don't know that
Netflix
I'm ready to say
could
that.
have told you that.
But even Netflix has turned into, and this is not necessarily a quote unquote bad thing. You don't really get the main titles of things that you got early on. Now Netflix has gotten so big. There's a lot of Netflix original stuff.
Well, yeah, they get more money.
Well,
I mean, it'll take time for it to. I mean, it's not at the Netflix level yet, but
you see Ubisoft already saying, or not Ubisoft, I'm sorry, EA already coming out and going oh yeah, we're going to offer this to our PC players.
Yeah.
Even though it's ridiculously priced, it's $30 a month. I'm like, who the hell is going to pay you $30 a month for your 5 games that you have that come out?
I hope he doesn't see that I've already done that.
That's funny.
Look, I'm kind of past the fanboy console stuff. I mean, I used to be big into that stuff, but from a consumer's perspective, Xbox between the two has kind of given me more of what I want this generation, and I never thought I'd say
You've
that.
been saying that for the last 20 podcasts. That's not a knock. I'm not
all
being
20?
ugly. You've been saying that. That's been a trend of what you've voiced on this show.
Well,
I get a lot from my PlayStation.
Exclusives aside.
I mean, I get nothing.
To be fair,
Xbox,
as someone who lived with John during the PlayStation 3 era, I think I know why. It's because he likes, when the underdog is there, let's be honest, when you're the underdog, you're the one who's innovating. You're the one who's more consumer friendly and doing things that aren't necessarily in number one interest is your bottom line. It's the interest of trying to capture the exposure of people's attention out there and setting up for the next fight, right? And that's what Sony did throughout the PS3 era. They're like, oh, by the way, gaming is free as far as our online gaming here. And by the way, if you do want to pay for us as far as giving us $10, you get free games. We're going to give you free games.
I think Phil's PR inception on John has finally worked.
Yeah.
And congrats to Phil for doing that. But it all is just PR speak. They all want to
No
make
doubt.
money.
Yeah, that's
They don't really care that you they care that you play on their system, but at the same time, if you don't, but 50 other people do, sorry.
I'm around PR people all the time.
Yeah.
I can tell you, in my opinion, when Phil Spencer speaks, particularly when he's candid in a one-on-one, he genuinely cares about the concept of games bringing everybody together.
Yeah, Jack Trenton.
You can just
had
see
that
it in
pull.
his face.
Like Jack
Trenton to me was good,
Yeah.
but he was not a believer.
And also,
he was the guy that was a business guy in a suit who could do the same job at Johnson & Johnson as he could at Sony.
Did we tell you who was
Corey, like Peter Moore. Like Peter Moore was that
Peter
guy.
Moore
name
was-
drop.
I feel like right now the ones who have seen to me, and I don't know where this will lead, but I have a fear right now, like for Sony, because I look at Sean Layden and nothing against the guy, but I see a lot of Don Matrick. You know, like where I'm like the guy who was the guy who pushed the Xbox One.
No, but the first
Sean Layden, isn't that who it is? The guy who comes out with the beard at the beginning.
Sean Layden has converted me over the past few years. When I first saw him on stage, he seemed really stiff. He had those closed hands. He would do this. He would unfold his hands. But one-on-one, he's genuinely a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's very good on the couch.
Let's put it this way.
Yeah,
I would say this.
So I don't...
But again, I'm with you in the sense that like right now Xbox seems to be, and I don't know if it'll work out, but they are making that bet that Netflix made, and before them, Apple made with iTunes, which is we are going to lay the foundation, we are going to see if if I offer you and I tell you for $10 a month you can have all these games, and all of a sudden at the same time I go over to producers and I start to say, what if I could guarantee you that even though your game comes out on February 22nd next year, that there's a way for people to afford it without having to spend $60 when there's 180 other dollars out there.
And Sean, to your point, there's always a PR element to it. I'm not suggesting that Phil Spencer is some saint.
And to think that they're still not going to make a ton of money.
Sure.
Don't get that twisted. And that's why I'm like, you know what? Whatever system has whatever game I want to play on it, I don't care what's going on.
Yeah,
but they do. But we see, and Sony admitted that today, or like a former CEO.
They can. They can. That's
CEO
fine. I'm a consumer. I don't. I'm going to get Last of Us 2 on PlayStation, whatever, because it's Last of Us 2.
But we see how the narrative has gone with Xbox and Sony, and I'm not suggesting it's going to move any needles this generation. But you're seeing it in the headlines. Sony refuses to bend on Fortnite.
Yeah,
where Phil Spencer is like, we want all of you to play our games. We don't care where you play them.
Yeah, even Nintendo was smart to capitalize.
I'm like blown away by Nintendo.
Like,
being
I don't
that
think
company.
Yeah, I don't think
weird.
Nintendo had a great week, but it's like for a company who's probably struggling the most online to be able to come in and take a dig at the biggest company right now and it really stick. I mean, like, shoot, Epic is making fun of them as we get to this topic. Let's just go to it. I'm going to come back to the Xbox
I
one.
really had a great point for you, though.
Fortnite.
I really did.
Fiasco. As we speak of this, if you're interested in playing Fortnite on Switch, you won't be able to carry over your existing account linked to a PlayStation 4. This was first pointed out by a few players on Twitter. Accounts created on all other platforms such as Xbox One, PC, mobile can carry over to their Switch along with all your purchases. In response, Sony's statements on the issue have been considered by most to be weak and tone deaf. The response reads, "We're always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience. With more than 80 million monthly active users on the PlayStation Network, we've built a huge community of gamers who can play together on Fortnite and all online titles. We also offer Fortnite cross-play support with PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans on PS4 to play with even more games on other platforms. It's also important to note the demand for this, as Fortnite has been downloaded already on Switch 2 million times, and that was just within its first few days. And to add fuel to the fire,
Give me fire.
I can't remember his name. The former CEO of Sony Interactive or something like that today came out and put on Twitter and he said, like, he was straight up honest. He said, while I was there, it's like, I don't know today, but it's like back when I was there, it's like as far as all this stuff is concerned, it was never about functionality or protecting people. It's like it was a simple thing of we don't want you buying something on Xbox and then playing with our player base because we want that money.
And if we're being honest,
and it makes sense.
How do we not understand that? All of a sudden, if Burger King started selling Big Macs and they were buddies, you understand what I'm saying? You want to have the thing at your place that people only get at your place. So on one hand, I completely understand why PlayStation's saying no, you're not going to be able to come here if you're no.
I think.
But on the other hand, it's like, well, you're the only one who's not in the whole equation.
It's kind of like it's
a mess.
It's that thing where you can tell things are finally maybe getting to the precipice of changing.
Ooh,
I thought
Chris said a big word.
I thought it started. Honestly, it started last year once, like, Xbox kind of jumped in and said, Rocket League we're all for this crossplay and stuff like that. And you could see once that hit, I was like, the drums are beating. Cause this isn't like the same as a couple of years ago, like when you actually had, crossplay on Final Fantasy 13 or something like that. That was a
14 online.
No, it was 13 or 12. Sorry, 12 or no, 11. Sorry, way back. Remember?
No,
14 never came to Xbox. Remember?
Right. It's on PlayStation and PC.
Yeah, but if you remember, only one of the few times it's ever happened where PlayStation and Xbox actually allowed crossplay was
towards if I remember right, it was towards the end
of the PS2. Yeah. Like you could do it on PS3 and Xbox 360 pretty much. Or no, it was when it came to PS3. Because it came out on Xbox 360.
Now you confused me, and I played the game. So
it never came out on Xbox.
It doesn't. But the recurring theme is these people don't talk to each other in that language. But now, if ever,
it's kind of like this thing where you can tell the trend has started, and I think it is because especially as you go into the next generation, it's not so much like things like Call of Duty and all that. That doesn't matter, and I think people understand. But something like where it's a free to play game. And you are creating not just you're creating an account with the actual company, right? In this case with Epic, people have this idea like, if and
you're touching on exactly what my issue is. Not that we can't play together. It's that because I created my account on PlayStation.
Exactly.
I can't bring anything that I bought to any other device.
If I play
or I should say to Switch.
If I buy Hearthstone, or no, if I download Hearthstone, and I just did this over the weekend while I was in Florida, I primarily played that game forever on my PC. I downloaded it to my Amazon tablet, right? And as soon as I logged into my Blizzard account, boom, all my stuff that I had acquired through years of playing on PC is now on my tablet. I didn't have to restart over. I didn't have to give Amazon money. And it's that kind of level of understanding like that. I think
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
The issue has a lot of layers to it. Back when we were discussing whether PlayStation should allow crossplay, I said PlayStation has every right to do what it wants to do.
And it still does.
But whether it's a bad business practice or not, they still have a right to do it. What is particularly egregious about this, and Sean, you basically said it, PlayStation's telling you, and this goes to the third level, this goes to the issue of ownership, what you own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And whether you own it at all. Sony is unilaterally telling players what they can and cannot do with an account that doesn't belong to Sony.
Exactly.
Right.
This is a Fortnite account created by Epic Games.
And apparently in one of those was it in the bylaws anywhere?
But Sony says
pretty much
Sony's taking ownership of something that they don't technically own.
Yeah.
That's what's egregious to me.
Yeah.
It's
only with the Nintendo Switch.
I think it's also with Xbox.
Well, it's also you can't go over to Xbox.
You can't go over to Xbox. You can't go over to the main competitors. I think you can go to PC and mobile games.
I've only played it on PC and PS4.
Yeah. You see, to me, it's just like though now you see it like where I saw today already, and I've seen it over the past week, like someone writing an article basically saying, I will now play all my multiplayer games in the future on Xbox.
Well, they're just,
they're saying it because they're like, I don't, and he specifically, he said, I've put 100 hours into Fortnite on PS4. And now, he loves Switch too. And he's like, I would love to be able, when I'm on the road somewhere,
and that's
to be able to play this thing.
And
on
these people, when they're at home, they're going to play it on PlayStation 4.
Exactly.
But if they're on a business trip or this or that, they don't want to lug their PlayStation 4s. They now thought they had the ability to play it on the go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when people say things like that, Chris, it's a matter of a lot of talk right now, and we'll see if it turns into something.
What it's going to turn into is a class action lawsuit.
Possible.
There's no possible to me. It's going to happen when we see the types of class action lawsuits that do come up. This is a no-brainer.
I mean,
there's a lawyer out there already.
Chomping at the bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
they're going to settle. Sony's going to
Hopefully
settle
his name's
big.
Saul, and you better call him.
To me, the bigger thing of this, though, was like when I looked at last week, which is supposed to be your biggest week of marketing and all that kind of stuff as far as a company, this was the thing, like regardless of the logistical issues of the PlayStation's conference, take that little blip out, they showed off 4 great games. And I guarantee you that the most talked about story of last week about PlayStation was the Fortnite story. So you go like, you just lost the week as far as that. And
you did lose the week.
And I'm not saying that like it's a doom or gloom, but again, I will always, I learned my lesson very hardcore this generation of like, you cannot just trust this idea that as you go from generation to generation, it's going to stick the same. These things do go in the cycle. I don't put it past Xbox. If Xbox came back next generation, took over, even if Phil Spencer stays there, I would not be surprised at all if they are much more tight as far as what they allow, what they're willing to change, and trying to extract more dollars out of you as possible as opposed to doing things for goodwill. Because I've seen it, if you really go back and you look at everything, it's a consistent thing for the person on power going all the way back to Nintendo with the NES and basically saying, we are going to restrict this market because it's beneficial to us. And we're going to demand all these things from, retailers.
Right.
And then Sega said, oh, really? Are you? And they came in here.
I think we're living in a new era where that's not possible anymore.
Maybe not to that extent,
when nobody has been as outspoken in a generation about this topic than Microsoft and Phil Spencer.
Sure.
They cannot reverse their policies on this going forward. They are
it
too.
Would be a PR
wait, are you saying
for
I'm not talking about that.
Play anywhere, play with anyone across the
I don't
spectrum.
mean like that. I think, yes, I think you're right like
took
that.
It as you meant like that, yeah.
I mean it in the sense of whenever it comes to innovation from the next generation, whatever's happening, they will be the ones who are more restrictive if they are on top. And I think that's true of everyone.
I see your point, but I think the concept, like the broad concept of restrictive, will always harken back to the era of Phil Spencer during the Xbox One. They will use that messaging and the concept, even top level, about being restrictive. You remember back in the Phil Spencer days when they made a commitment to be non-restrictive, regardless of what type of restrictions you're talking about? They're going to go back to that. And I think it will still be a PR nightmare. They will use it as a hypocritical thing.
Wait, are you saying, you're saying with the next Xbox, that's what they're going to do?
The next generation, you just said that when the next person's in charge or leading the way, they will by default be more restrictive.
They will be, I will say, less open to innovation.
Especially if they take the quote unquote lead.
Okay.
Exactly. It's about, I think, like once you get the most.
Innovation and restrictive are not necessarily exclusive.
I mean, like I said, you can look at all generations and it kind of goes that way. Like you look, like I said, go back to the NES. They controlled everything.
I don't want to.
And then Sega came in and kind of punched them in the face and, almost pulled off the amazing upset, right? For a number of years there, they did great.
Sega?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sega. And then Sony came in and again was even more open than Sega was and was better organized and punched Nintendo even harder.
Yeah.
And then you go into the PlayStation 2 where they bloomed up and they became all of a sudden the people who were like, no, you're going to conform to what we think is the right way to do games.
It was time. Like the PlayStation 2 and I think it's kind of like it ushered in a new era.
Sure.
And it was the perfect system to kind of do that and take over. And I think we're now into a newer era where something new could come up.
Well,
and it actually takes the lead as the next thing.
Again, but PlayStation 2, they went, we are the gods. We know what's right.
You still doing the thing?
Yeah, I am. I'm going through this whole history.
Oh,
you get to
Jesus
Xbox 360. They came in and said, no, you're not doing this the right way. You should be more open to the developer. And that's what they did. And they won that generation. Whereas Nintendo, of course, also said like, hey, we can make casual people come and play our games too. And unfortunately
And we don't even have to tell you what it is.
And unfortunately for them, mobile said, well, we can do it for far cheaper. And then you get to this generation and Sony turned around and said, we're going to not only listen to the developers, we're also going to listen to what the fans want. They want 60 frames per second. They want high def. They want fast loading stuff. And Microsoft said, we're going to make it so that you can't trade games anymore. And we're going to give you all this entertainment crap you don't care about.
That is still the best PlayStation commercial I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
How to trade games.
They should,
Thanks.
Reggie, if I were Reggie and Phil,
PlayStation.
I would go make a video right now that says how to play with friends on consoles or play Fortnite with friends. And Reggie go, hi, Phil, would you like to play? And then Phil go, yes, I would.
But the funny thing is, and last week during their presentation, I might have been a little bit overly critical, but I sensed and smelled the tone deafness of that press conference. And what I mean by that is you go back to that commercial, how to trade games. Is that the Sony of today? It's not. At least it doesn't present itself to be.
I think the biggest thing I've noticed is...
And nobody's above it. Sony's not above it. Microsoft above it. Nintendo, which is your point. Well, they get to be the big dog in the room and they forget what got them there.
I think it's good. It might not even be that they forget. It might be the investor side coming in and them having expectations. Yeah. And all of a sudden you have to meet those expectations. But hey, speaking of the next gen, the next Xbox coming in 2020. While we previously brought to you this tidbit of information, it's worth expanding on. The existence of a new Xbox has been confirmed to be known as Project Scarlet. The code name is referring to a family of devices, not just one single console. Phil Spencer has also confirmed that they are working on their next line of hardware and that they are deep into architecting the next Xbox consoles, where we will once again deliver in our commitment to deliver the benchmark for console gaming. Not too surprising, but yeah, there's a lot of details leaking out. I guess the big question is going to be, do they reveal this at E3 next year, like a tease, kind of like they did with the Xbox One X, or are they going to wait and kind of just do it all in the PR thing like it went down with the last generation or this generation?
All I know is it's going to be 10 trillion teraflops.
Yeah. We made giga teraflops now or something, right?
There was a little bit of butthurtness to hearing that there's one coming in 2020 when I know
7 years.
I know, but
yeah, but you did buy your One X 7 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I bought 3 Xbox consoles.
Yeah, they got you.
Yeah, and I mean, but to be fair, they never lied to you. They said this is a premium console. This is not the next console.
They did the corporate kind of squish on you because they went, you can keep your Xbox One. Your Xbox One S is better.
I got to tell you,
the One X is even better.
I got to tell you,
you make the choice.
Functionally speaking, I'm not talking about the menus.
Was it a choice?
And the user friendliness of the machine, but the the PlayStation 4 quality wise is a better built machine.
For sure.
Xbox, I have to constantly restart it. Aiden can attest to this. I mean, the internet goes out constantly. It stops reading my online profile.
I don't trust your internet.
I mean, that's predictable.
Completely
but
suspect.
It's constantly.
Well,
I had to get. I had a serious problem with my Xbox One X, where it just wasn't playing anything, reading anything. You had to walk me. I printed out instructions that you gave me that you found online.
Sure.
I'm like, I'd never have to do that with my PlayStation 4.
Right.
I never
once has that happened.
Right.
The biggest complaint I've had about the Xbox One this generation was just how slow the disc loads were. Compare, especially like Sony. You pop in a game on a Sony console.
There's nothing worse than the slow load.
Outside of like, take out the DL or the download, the patches, right? And just actually reading from a disc, installing it to your hard drive. With an Xbox, it can take like 30 minutes. versus Sony, it takes about 5.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing I'm happy with is that apparently they finally have fixed that. I definitely, I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of this is honestly goes back to the way they originally designed the system with the DRM stuff and them having to gut this. It's kind of like,
That's a good point.
yeah, it's kind of like how Sony was with their cell core technology on PS3. It's like it hampers what you can do, unfortunately.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm sure they are keeping that in mind. Cyberpunk 2077.
I love you, Sean.
I love you too, man.
Do you love me?
That's up for debate, but yes,
Oh,
most of the time.
ouch. A lot of big games at E3 were announced seem to suggest the next gen consoles as the target for release. Luckily, it seems that Cyberpunk 2077 will be coming to current gen. According to Quest designer Patrick Mills, quote, the current console generation is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and of course PC. This is a long time coming for fans as the game was originally teased back in 2012. I'm sorry. I'm calling BS on this.
You don't think it's coming out?
I mean, they've said it's running on a current high, like the demo they showed last week behind closed door was running on a current high-end PC. I think it will come out on these consoles, but I also think it's coming out along release of the new
This
ones.
was one of the
God,
first titles.
please give me Dying Light 2.
Well,
Come on.
this was one of the first ones where people are like, all these games that they're showing, the 2020 release date, that's going to be the next console type games that we get. Who knows? Like, and I can clearly see a situation where, yeah, you can get it on Xbox One, PS4, and all that stuff, but
It's
you also
there.
are going to get it
like-
on
this
the
E3
Xbox whatever and the PS whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like the E3 of your consoles are dead.
Yeah. Well, you know, it is. It goes in
depressing.
cycle.
No, it was solid. You
It
got a
goes
lot
in
of
cycles.
games. You got stuff.
Why is he yelling at me?
It's that.
For you to say the E3 was dead, it was solid. It was games.
Well, no. The consoles you own are dead.
Are
Yeah,
dying.
but you're
not getting-
You said
They're
the
not
E3
dead.
was
These new
terrible.
games, you're not getting them on your new consoles.
It's anecdotal.
Well, that's why you also
Skyrim,
didn't.
Skyrim.
That's not Skyrim. It's called Elder Scrolls
Whatever.
6.
Skyrim 2. We know it is.
No. It was in High Rock. I think it's like, but it's a reminder that E3 goes in cycles. Like,
Sure.
you have that first part where it's like, here's the new consoles. That's what everyone's focusing. Here's the couple teases of what the new technology can do. Then you get like 2 years in and then it's like, no, here's what we really can do. And you get all those announcements of big things that you're anticipating. And now it's like they're coming to fruition. But at the same time, you don't get too many new teases, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
You can cut this or leave it in. It's up to you. Aiden, quit kicking my chair. Quit telling me you're hungry. You wanted to come here.
Yeah.
I love you.
We could have tied you
And
to
now
a chair.
the world knows because millions listen.
Because he's not editing that
Millions. Yeah, I'm definitely not. Statuses.
We
the
know
one-
you're hungry. We are too. Look at Sean's face.
Yeah. Status.
starving.
Hey, status of Final Fantasy VII main fans expected news of Final Fantasy VII at this year's
Speaking of
E3.
next gen consoles,
Right. However, Tetsui Nomura.
Nomura.
Yeah, whatever.
And it's Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah, it's a word.
Not Tatsui.
Look, I took the optional approach for how to say it. Gave fans a glimmer of hope this on the progress, stating that the remake has moved past the conceptual stage and is in full development. He confirmed that the game was being developed in parallel to Kingdom Hearts 3, which means we should get this around 2030, right?
no
That's
kidding.
funny.
Where is Rocksteady?
It's a good question.
A lot of people asked that after E3, Mo.
The developer of the Arkham series has made a statement regarding its notable absence from this year's E3. Game director and co-founder of Rocksteady Studios, Sefton Hill, posted, "We know some of you were disappointed that we were not at E3 this year. The whole team has been reading your comments, and all of us here at Rocksteady really appreciate your passion for our next project. Knowing how much it means to you keeps us inspired and energized to deliver a game that you will be proud of. We'll share it with you as soon as it's ready." That kind of, see, that's the kind of thing that screams to me also next gen, right? 'Cause
Possibly, yeah.
If it was coming next year.
Yeah.
You'd want to get the hype train going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's not that, and look, it's not that they didn't announce games for this gen.
Yeah.
Sony was all about that.
You got plenty of things
But there
coming.
was just so many things spackled throughout the week where you're like, wow, they are really wrapping this up. They're really putting a book into this console generation.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's I see this
You
console.
feel a certain way because you just bought your Xbox One like 6 months ago.
Not only that, I mean, I'm not a graphics. I don't want to say
elitist. You don't need graphics for the experience.
Yeah,
but you own an Xbox One X, a PS4 Pro, and a 4K TV, huh?
Touche.
Pot calling a pedal.
It's funny, but you don't buy games that rely heavily on all the things that.
Yeah.
For us, for me and you, I know story content is always going to outweigh the way it looks.
Oh, really? Not me, huh?
Okay. I don't think you.
Oh, really? I'm the one who plays the stories that are like 100 hours long. But okay,
yeah, but they look great.
Not always.
Witcher 3.
Yeah.
You're the one who goes like, a Steam game?
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's terrible.
There was a new game I saw on Steam that Donkey highlighted called Slap Fight that looks like the greatest thing.
Fight.
It looks like it makes me want to play Smash Bros. Because it looks even better and dumber than Smash Bros. Is. I need to get
First
that
of all,
game.
Smash Bros. Is not dumb.
Oh, Smash Bros. I'm going to play it.
Anyways, Octopath Traveler DLC. Octopath Traveler has no planned DLC because the title is a, quote, complete game, according to
novel idea.
Masashi
Takahashi.
Takeyashi, Tobiyashi. I don't know. We haven't even thought of having DLC. The retail version is the complete game. Name also said that there would be a new game plus, saying the studio has made it so that you, quote, can finish the game in one playthrough, but depending on your on the order you go about things, the difficulty will organically change.
I like the word organically, so
that would surprise me.
I would suggest that when this game comes out, you might try to borrow
your Switch,
Jeff's Switch, because
you're not playing this game. You hate JRPGs.
I don't know why you said that.
When have you ever played a JRPG?
What have I always said on this show? I am waiting to get my hands on a JRPG because I've always wanted to dive into it.
I give it 5 minutes.
You should have got Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's legit.
I should borrow Jeff's.
I want to play the first one.
Anyways.
Not a tie-in at all.
Shut up. You don't know.
I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I know.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 beta.
Another next-gen console game.
For sure. No question on that one.
Well, I mean, if you put only the next-gen console games in the news, John, you're going to be able to say things like,
it sounds like a narrative.
Right, DJ Khaled.
It's almost
another
like
one.
A narrative.
Is he really next-gen?
Who?
I like to think Carters are next-gen.
And another one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's his thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He only ate 3
Maybach
hot
music.
wings on Hot Ones.
I got a TT.
Oh my God.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 beta, based on recent statements from Ubisoft, it is clear that this game could still be a long way off. However, Ubisoft is aiming to release Beyond Good and Evil 2 betas, or the beta for the game, by late 2019, according to creator Michael Ansel. This indicates a release date of early 2020, or as early as 2020. Next up, WHO's gaming disorder classification? Not Doctor Who, that is. But the World Health Organization, also known as WHO, officially announced gaming disorder as a mental condition as part of their 11th edition of the International Classification of Diseases, documented for release on Monday. Gaming disorder is defined by 3 behaviors. 1, impaired control over gaming, onset frequency, intensity, duration, termination, context. 2, increased priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedent over other life interests and daily activities. And 3, a continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. That doesn't surprise me that this is
Why didn't this come out when the WoW started?
Yeah, that's
probably because
it's been around.
The gaming,
yeah, it's probably them studying
the
it.
gaming industry as a whole is sort of rallying against this diagnosis. Which
Yeah, I can understand why.
Why are you? What? I mean, it's called excess of something.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful, beautiful thing that brings people together that you can abuse.
they're rallying.
I don't understand the controversy.
Just like sex.
It's the
What?
thing of
Yep.
it's that thing of, I understand why they're rallying against it. It's that you don't want a
Circling the
negative,
wagons.
you don't want a negative story to say like, well, if you play games a lot, you have a disorder. I understand why they're going against that by nature. But personally to me, like when I read this, I'm more of like, there's a documentary that's out there or was out there that was on Netflix about like addictive gamers and like the people who literally, there was, I remember there in the documentary, there was two guys who were living together. They were single, right? One worked at Walmart. The other one just lived on the couch, basically, right? So whenever,
Josh,
so one would be on playing WoW. The guy who worked at Walmart, when he got off work, he would come home and he'd play WoW until he needed to go to bed, right? And his roommate would just sit there and play, I think it was Elder Scrolls Morrowind on Xbox, just consistently. Like that's all they do. And then, so they would go to bed.
Just consistently.
Yeah. And like the morning when they woke up and he went to work, the guy who worked at Walmart, the guy who was playing Morrowind, that's when he would hop on to WoW and he would play that all day.
So the problem is the guy on the couch.
Both of them.
It's not really Walmart
like,
guy.
Both of them. And like, they're like, if he's got on his day off, the Walmart guy, all he does, that's all he's doing is just playing WoW nonstop.
I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, this is
As long as you
neither
eat,
does Blizzard.
as long as you eat and bathe and like don't kill people.
Like
in
they
real
had,
life.
they
I mean,
had,
like-
they showed like this wall of like Coke cans going to the ceiling.
Oh, you mean I was gonna say something about your house?
You can't say anything.
It's
But I
when
didn't.
when you're a dad who forgoes weekends with their kid because they're
Exactly.
playing Fortnite. It's the kid who was
You
playing
just assumed the
Fortnite.
dad was divorced.
I'm giving an example. It's the kid who played
Sad.
Fortnite while a tornado ravaged his neighborhood.
I'm trying to think of,
That's what this diagnosis is.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like people who we know that could maybe be it. And I can only think of one. And even then I don't think
RH?
like of our group of people that we know, like only one person would maybe even at any point during our time of knowing him fit that bill.
Yeah.
And I would still say he doesn't fit what they're classifying on.
Well,
right?
he wouldn't like not go to vacations with his family.
That's just because he hates outside.
and
But finally this week.
Oh,
PlayStation Hits. PlayStation has announced that PlayStation Hits, a collection of some of the best games to hit the PlayStation 4. See what I did there? I altered your words.
because it was perfect before you.
Are coming at $19.99.
good deal.
15 titles will be available for PlayStation Hits, to include Bloodborne, Drive Club. Is that really a hit? Let's be honest. Infamous Second Son, Killzone. Again, is it really a hit?
Title hit.
Little Big Plan 3, Ratchet and Clank. That's a hit.
Sure.
The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Battlefield, Doom. Definitely a hit. Street Fighter 5, Yakuza, Metal Gear Solid 5. That's pretty awesome. Again, another sign I think that I would expect at some point we'll probably see something similar from Xbox here pretty soon. We'll see. Here's our 3 exclusives you can get for $15.99.
That's funny.
You guys want to wrap this up?
Never.
John, say it.
Future.
Emails.
Electronic.
Jeez,
I started-
balls are dropped.
I started reading the email.
Yeah, when I was about 10, Chris.
If you want to write in,
10 years old.
if you want to write
hang
in,
in, dog.
hey guys, if you want to write in your thoughts to us and tell John he's just
Wrong
mistaken about
No,
everything.
if you want to tell John what a great job he did this week covering Vampyr, then you can.
Vampyr.
Yeah,
And afterwards, if you want to also tell him he's just terrible.
it would make us. It would secretly make Chris and I happy.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize how many I deleted these just to save his
Gotta
time.
save John.
man.
delete from
Delete,
John.
delete.
Tell me more later.
Protect John.
Uh,
Yeah.
You can write them into weeklygameschat@gmail.com, just like Bucky did, the Winter Soldier himself. He says, "Hey guys."
Hey, how you doing?
John, say hey
It's
to
good
Bucky.
to see you.
Hey.
Hold up. I gotta go. Wow. Well met.
You were mentioned, or it's like, you mentioned you guys weren't sure about what these new titles had to do with Pokemon Go. I'm excited for them, and I don't mind discussing them with you guys. Thank you.
Well, E3 told us. Told us.
Yeah, this was before E3 when we got that one. Let's see. Next up, Daniel says.
Hey, but thank you for offering your services, sir, as Chris just moved on.
For sure. Look, it is 7:55.
Hey, the fans and listeners deserve.
Hey, Joe Rogan. We're not going 18 hours.
They deserve quality, okay?
Joe Rogan might have that space on his Libsyn. We don't.
What do you mean we don't?
We don't have enough for 19 hours of video every week.
Well, we're going to make that happen, Chris.
Okay, you can pay them $3,000. Holy crap,
what?
Says Daniel. I just watched a trailer for Jump Force, and my God, it looks awesome. All kinds of anime crossovers. One Piece, Totoro, Dragon Ball Z, and even Death Note. The dog is cute, and he is well. And I finally got past Ludwig's Gundire. I believe, I can't remember who he's playing. Oh, he's playing Dark Souls. Okay. I can't even get to the Bor Valley. Or is that, I can't remember if that's
Chris is dumb. He flies through games.
I'm trying to remember.
He puts it on easy mode. We're sorry.
There's no such thing as easy mode in those games. So I'm going to have to grind like hell for the next couple of weeks. I hope Bethesda announces either Doom 5,
nope.
Doom 2016 2.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's basically what they did. Or Wolfenstein 3. 9! Bring morning. 9 Brian morning Eindenheim 99
Oh my gosh, that was creepy.
Yeah, right.
I loved it though. Thank you.
Look, I wake up in the morning, John, and I pick up my cigarette while I pick up my gun. If you get that reference, I don't. I'm not surprised you don't get that. Oh God, sorry. I know.
Face is not surprised.
I know they already have Elder Scrolls and Fallout 76, but I want them to at least announce something else. Hey, you got that, Daniel, because they announced Starfield as well. But here's the big question. When will Xbox get an exclusive as popular as the PlayStation 4's exclusive that will make it worthwhile? I guess you could argue.
2020.
Yeah. I guess you could argue Halo 6, right?
Yeah, well, you saw Halo 6. You saw the Gears
5. I'm guessing that's
Gears
next year.
Pop Edition. Remember that time? You remember that time that they showed the Gears logo and then a pop guy came out?
Dear Lord, this is a lot.
It's fine. Let's do this.
Next up, Ever.
Ever,
you wrote a lot. Including some words I can't say. So I'm just going to try to do you well.
We got you.
But he says, I'm writing this before Nintendo's conference because I'm not much of a Nintendo fanboy. And he says, this is his E3 reactions. Long letterhead. They're pretty much my highlights. You don't have to read all. Just scan the bullet
points. He gave us proof to scan. Cool. So do a good job.
He says,
scan.
He says bad word, that starts with mother. Cyberpunk 2077 trailer. Loved it. Can't wait for the game. Love The Witcher 2 and 3. So I know this game will kick once it comes out. Dying Light 2 looks amazing. Fallout 76. He's not much of a multiplayer guy, but he loves Fallout games, so he's going to try it out. Gears 5, Halo Infinite we'll play once they come out. Not much to say since they didn't give us but bare bone trailers.
Hey, bare bones is not as good as bareback. Just say it.
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. This is the one I really want to play. Shadow from Software, one of many samurai games. Actually, Ever, gonna correct you there because I made this mistake too. It's not a samurai game. It is a ninja game. Hence why he has the whip and he's a little bit more fluid than what a samurai would be. So
he's Indiana Jones?
I think he's, kind of like, but in Japan.
But ninja?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, day one purchase for me. Love both of the previous titles. I gotta agree with you there.
I really should open up the Rise of.
You really should. It's probably about time.
But
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, day one purchase. Oh wait, said that one. Sorry. Division 2, played a far amount of Division 1. Really enjoyed the snow-covered New York. Can't wait for a more polished version of that, but set in DC. 4K definition on HDR? Yes, please. Again, bad words preceding Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
But he's right.
An Origins version of ancient Greece.
With Gerard Butler.
You bet your I'm gonna play this. Love the ancient Egyptians thing, and this looks even better. Agree with you on that one. Beyond Good and Evil 2, never played the original, but the trailer was jaw-dropping.
The trailer was gorgeous.
Rage 2 didn't play the first one, but I remember it looking good for the time. Was really caught. this really caught my eye this time.
Because of colors.
Because of colors, yeah. Anthem. Love the premise of 4 Iron Man looking tanks running around shooting stuff, but this conference didn't really show much of that. Supposedly coming out in March 2019. Buddy? Yeah, I'm fine.
Little,
Actually coming out on February 22nd along with 55 million other things. Not sure they're going to hit that date. That's a fair bet. Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, there's title card for them, and that's it. Bethesda said Starfield was their next big release, so 3 years from now, maybe if we're lucky. That sounds about right. So ES6 is probably 5 years away. That could very well be the case. Spider-Man comes out September 7th, day one purchase, multiple Spider-Man bosses, open world web action. Just take my money right now. Can't wait to play.
We all feel that way.
Resident Evil 2, loved Resident Evil 7, gonna play this game too. Control, loved Quantum Break and Alan Wake. This trailer was so crazy, as all games from Remedy are. Ghost of Tsushima, another samurai game, but definitely a day one purchase for me. Open world samurai games set during the Mongol invasion. That seems to be where they're going. Last of Us Part 2, also a day one purchase immediately. Like, they don't shy away from gore and violence. Just hope the story will be up to Part 1's caliber. Just my quick impressions of the games that really caught my attention are going to get my money right here. Not many surprises though. And he kind of just re-highlights what this might have been what he wanted us to read. Oh, I'm an idiot. Can't wait to hear what y'all thought of this year's E3 and to hear what caught y'all's attention. As always, game on, and I'll catch you later.
This is the most inside my head letter I've ever read in my life.
I like it.
It's almost like it's almost like.
Thank you.
Can you send me a DNA sample? We might have the same mother or something.
So you're saying you're using a ghost name and writing an email?
It's me.
Yeah,
it's me, John.
Aaron wrote in.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's him.
Don't do that.
Stop.
Yeah, stop.
Thank you.
Get picked up on mic.
Hey, Ron, what up, dog?
I know this show often dictates what games you play, but in a world without weekly without weekly game chat or even with it, what games are you playing like last night? If you played a game, what was it? Weird question, but I hope it made sense. I think it does. We used to kind of, when we started out, usually talk about we were gaming. We do every now and then, but a lot of times it ends up being the freaking topic. So,
for example, last night, I played Final Fantasy 14 online, A Realm Reborn.
And I played Elder Scrolls
and
online.
I also watched a little bit of Twitch. I watched Ninja play a game called Realm Royale or something.
A Knight of Forts?
No. Yeah, Realm Royale. It's a different take on the whole. It's still in the alpha phase, but it still looks pretty cool. So that's kind of what I did last night. Hey, Aaron.
I played Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, you did, and I may play that with you tonight, right?
And I also watched an episode of The Handmaid's Tale because I couldn't watch it while I was in Florida.
You know why you watched that?
It's depressing. I don't know why I watched it.
John was feverishly playing Vampyr. Gotta get ready for the show. Gotta play the game.
Pretty much.
Kind of.
Blink Brack. He comes in.
Hello, Blink Brack.
Hey guys, how you been?
Good.
It's RJ again. I always call him Blink Brack because that's where his emails are.
Hey.
Been meaning to check in and say, hey, a couple of things. Don't think Kingdom Hearts 3 will be delayed because they did a whole demo for some YouTubers. You need to go read up on some Square history there, buddy, RJ.
And he said it a day ago, so he's up in the knowledge, right? I
don't think they would do it if they weren't almost done with that game. Also, I have a question. I am thinking of buying LA Noire Remastered. It's only $25 at GameStop, but I played the base game on my 360 once. So you think it's worth buying again, or should I invest it in something else? The game isn't terrible. It runs well. It's really just, do you want a detective game? I mean,
he says he's played it already.
He's played the base game. If you enjoyed it, I guess go back to it. Personally, to me,
I would say spend your money on something else.
Well, for him to bring it up, you know how you get that itch to kind of revisit something?
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I can sympathize.
I don't think there's anything
spray
new.
A little cream, John. Tighten it right on up.
And finally, in a very large font.
It's his first Richard.
His first Richard. Here we go.
Yes.
His name is Cooper.
Just read it. It's big font, Chris. We're good.
And he says, dearly weekly game chat. New listener and first time writer here. I discovered you guys just recently when searching for a podcast that would cover E3 and have been addicted to your podcast ever since.
Yeah.
I love the laid back atmosphere you guys bring to the table. We're laid back.
It's literally a table.
Yeah, it really is. That part's accurate. As well as your great personalities and sense of humor. Truly
me.
a great listen.
Oh.
I can't even tell you the amount of times already I have laughed hysterically. Full on head bob.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now. Listening to you guys while my coworkers give me an awkward side eye. Haha, it's fantastic.
Side eye is hilarious.
Yes.
Not better than side
You
boob,
got some
though.
great New York side eye.
I wonder
say
if he
that?
laughed at the comment you made last week about the singer pulling microphones out of his junk.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But can I say side boob?
Aiden, stop
Tasteful
touching
side
me.
boob?
New York, some great New York boob.
Some tasteful side boob.
Anyways, since it's a gaming channel, I wanted to ask you guys a gaming related question. Have any of you ever played Borderlands, specifically Borderlands 2? And what
Yes.
do you think of it? Borderlands is a personal favorite of mine. I wanted to see if you guys liked it or nine. P.S.
Sorry.
Being a new listener, it's taking me a bit to catch up on all your guys' fantastic inside jokes. I think I've learned a lot of them, but I'm still confused about a few, like your mom's box. You should do a short segment in one of your episodes where you get new listeners. You know what? We're saving that for 300. That's probably not true. I love listening to the old podcast, but it's going to be a wow. Before I hear them all. Thanks again for the great content. Cooper, game on.
Cooper,
Game on,
thanks
Cooper.
for listening, man. Thanks for writing into us. It's people like you that keep us going, so thank you very much.
To your comment, Borderlands is awesome. I think I'm one of the few.
You and me have played it together.
Yeah, we have played it together. I think it's fair to say I played a lot more than you.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I mean,
It's fair. We played it together a lot, but you've played exponentially more than me.
Yeah, I like it because you get any game that's very much Diablo based where it's like, hey, keep playing and get random loot that can have awesome properties and make you very powerful, and do runs of dungeon stuff. I love that kind of stuff. Something about that mechanic. I really hope that Borderlands 3 comes out before the next generation, but the fact that we haven't heard anything, that might be another game that pisses off John. Sean.
Yeah, we're going to pivot over if you want to get in touch with us on the Twitters.
That's at Weekly Games Chat on Twitter.
It sure is. And we recently, like I said, had a new follower by the name of Chris. So that was
me.
great. I want to start off with a question this week, submitted to us in the DM, John.
Okay.
All the good stuff comes from the DM. It's at Nat_the_Gooner. Nat says, hello guys. My Nana needs some advice from Chris.
Oh.
Each year she makes around 20 jars of delicious relish and sells them at the Harvest Festival in her village at the end of October.
What the heck is going on?
That's funny.
Hey, it's not just when I asked her what she was making this year, she said, I don't think it's worth it as Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out. And I don't want to be left with lots of unsold jars.
That's fair.
Do you think she should risk it or just forget about it for this year? I hope you can help Chris from your boy Nat the Gooner and Nana in Wiltshire, England. Shout out to the Three Lions for their victory in the World Cup, huh?
Ooh. I would say to him, you should probably hold off this fall and instead invest all your crops into the spring season, so that therefore when the special fair comes to town or wherever it is, like the traveler person, you can buy tons of strawberry seeds, and that would really help out your Stardew Valley crops. I'm not sure if that's what they were going for, but when I hear the Harvest Festival, that's what I was thinking. I hope I'm right on that. But yes, she should definitely avoid Red Dead Redemption 2 like a plague, as everyone else is doing.
At friend of the show, I'm Gone, which is our boy Jeff. This was something I did want to bring up, and since we hadn't to this point, this past weekend was Father's Day for some of us.
It was.
In different parts of the world, so he says Happy Father's Day, bros. So I do want to echo that sentiment, and I hope you had a great Father's Day, and all that good stuff. And I need to pull up our followers because I just want to see all the new people and follow them back. So, at Mr. Leonard Kim, thank you for the follow, following you back. At Holly, thank you for the follow, following you back. Again, at FudgePop146, thank you for the follow, following you back. At NecroMutex, thank you for the follow, following you back. And these, again, you can follow us and I'll read your stuff out on, you know, the Twitter and everything. At Mike Wiley 77, thank you for the follow, following you back. At Geek to Glam Etsy. Thank you for the follow. Following you back.
Can you tell how old that picture is, by the way?
Yeah.
Just
Doesn't
by
matter.
it.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you should see this guy
There's
Fudge
like,
Pop
for
146 picture.
There's finally like no gray hair in there.
He looks like
And I actually have tons of hair.
if you knew, this is another soccer reference, Mohamed Salah for the Egypt national team. There's Chris. At M Short 108.
God,
Thank you
I
for the
used to have so
follow.
much hair.
Following you back. And at BTY Then You. Thank you for the follow. Following you back. It was be like I was off for a few weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
At We Wear Pants. Thank you for the follow. Follow you back. At Shane KCTV. Thank you for the follow. He's a
Shane?
KCTV 5 assignment editor. That's
Oh,
what's
boy.
up. At Frederick _ T. Thank you for the follow. Follow you back. And finally this week at Ruh199. Thank you for the follow. Following you back. We appreciate it all. We love chatting with you guys on the Twitterverse. Send us and mention us at different things that you see that are funny. We'll definitely get a kick out of those. You guys rule. Thank you.
Speaking to those who write into the Twitterverse and at Weekly Game Chat, and even if you want to drop us a line on our Facebook page at Weekly Game Chat as well.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
we
remember
do.
that. God, I forgot about that. Anyways, thanks for the derailment. Listeners, as you know, this is the summer period, which I hate to say this is kind of the dry period, if you will.
It's so dry.
It's we're in the
I
desert
never have
right
that
now.
problem.
For
what?
new content.
I'm sorry.
We got some things that are coming out that we can talk about, but I do fear that there may be some weeks in the upcoming month or so that may need a topic or two. So I'm putting this challenge out here. If there's something you think would be a good topic, I can't promise you that we'll talk about it or that we'll get to it, but
Are we doing the thing like Ubisoft did with their game about like, hey, help us with
you
like,
shut up now, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
help us with stuff.
Stop trying to ruin us.
paint on
They
walls
don't
and
realize
stuff.
it. They don't realize it. We're not going to pay them.
Would you guys be interested in something like if me and Chris play Elder Scrolls Online? Would you like a weekly update?
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you like John to play a specific game that maybe he
not
doesn't
even
like?
that, not even that. Like, if you have an idea that you think would make a good weekly discussion, even if it's not a game,
Yeah, it cannot be a game.
if it's just something that's going on in gaming right now, or you find interesting, you think we could give you some time on, write it into us, and I will talk it over with these guys here, and maybe your idea will be featured on an episode of Weekly Game Chat. I'll even give you a shout out whenever
Well,
we.
I hope that's the least we could do, Chris.
I mean, I could just steal
Dang,
their
who are
idea
you-
and be
who are
like,
you?
I was sitting in the
Who are you,
shower.
Sony's Online? I mean, geez.
Until then, though, if you like the show, make sure you keep going to the websites
Fives,
such as
if
the
you like.
iTunes
Fours if you don't.
and the Googles and the Amazons, and grade us, give us the thumbs up, whatever, and say the show is amazing. 5 is if you do like us, 4 is if you don't. If you want to get new episodes without even having to think about it every Wednesday, if they have a subscribe
dare we
function
say.
on whatever service you like to use for your podcast, you can just click that. And I guarantee you that unless John derails the show, every Wednesday we will get a new episode.
I think I'm the derailer, aren't I?
Yeah, you're pretty big, but he's going to derail us in like 2 weeks here because he's going on vacation.
That's when we
Slacker.
all go on vacation.
I mean, I went on vacation. Look, I'm still recording. Why can't you guys do that?
I'll be back on when John gets back.
That's funny.
Whatever day John
Again,
gets
if you
back.
want to write to us, you can do so at weeklygameschat@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, both at Weekly Game Chat. This has been episode 158.
I feel
And
like every week it's 158, dude.
Until next
This is like
time,
Groundhog Day.
I will simply say game on, Sean.
Game on, Christopher.
Game on, John.
Game on, Chris, and game on, Sean.
Game on, Jonathan.
Vampyr.
Game on, Aiden.
Hey, Aiden, thanks for being awesome on the couch today. You will.
Yeah. Your mom's box.
Peace out, everybody.
Thug Life Vampyr.